All right, so what happens at closing for buyers? In Colorado, closing essentially means the signing, right? So at closing, you'll be reviewing and signing documents pertaining to your loan and the transfer of real estate into your name. The title company performs the closing. In most cases, the sellers have selected the title company and the title closer that we'll be working with. The title closer will be closing escrows, which means they're paying off loans and liens for the seller and making way for the property to be transferred to you. As mentioned, you, the home buyer, will sign many different documents pertaining to the loan and the transfer of real estate. The closer will handle the closing costs from the lender, agent commissions, as agreed, taxes, water utility transfer, other escrows such as homeowners association fees, insurance, and taxes. Okay? Now here's what occurs at closing. So here's what actually occurs at closing. The home buyer arranges for a wire transfer or brings a cashier's check to cover all remaining closing costs and fees. The property title will then be signed from the seller to the buyer, thus transferring ownership to you. The title closer will register the new deed with the appropriate government office. After that, the home buyer will be listed as the official owner of the property. That's when it becomes official, it's yours. The real estate agents involved in the transaction will receive their commissions. The sellers will receive any proceeds that they earn from the sale, and since their mortgage balance is being paid off. So people often ask, how long does the actual closing take? Since closings no longer really take place together with buyer and seller together, sitting together, I'm going to start over again. So people always ask me, how long does the actual closing take? Since closings no longer occur with a buyer and seller sitting together at the same time, it usually takes about 60 to 75 minutes per side. In the event that you are closing with the seller at the same time, you're still the one that has the most documents to sign. The seller has very few documents to sign related to the transfer of real estate, but you've got real estate transfer documents and then you've also got your loan documents to sign. That takes longer. Typically the buyer sets the pace of a combined closing, and so if you're a seller, it's not going to take all that much longer. But in addition to signing loan documents, we may also need to wait for the funding to come through. A combined closing could take 1 to 1.5 hours, so plan accordingly. Do I have to attend the closing? There are documents that need to be wet signed or signed in person, such as like the transfer of deed. That cannot be done electronically. Now, that has to take place also in the presence of a notary, such as the title closer. Other documents can be electronically signed and can be done so remotely. So if you're moving or need to sign ahead of time, ahead of the closing date, you can. However, it may make sense to ask the title closer to facilitate a mail-out closing where they would actually overnight you documents to sign. You find a notary, or we help you find a notary, and then we arrange for you to send those documents back. Typically a self-addressed or a prepaid envelope that's overnighted back to the title closer will be provided in the package that they send to you at your remote location. Now, what do I need to bring to closing? The biggest thing is your government-issued photo ID. Driver's license works best for this. Passport will work as well. Now, if you're required to bring funds to closing or to complete your sale, please bring either a cashier's check or and make sure that that's made out to the title company. If you're bringing over $5,000, it's possible that the title company is actually going to have rules whether or not they'll accept the check that big. So we want to make sure that we consult with the title company ahead of time to determine if you need to bring an additional check or if we need to make a wire transfer, things like that. If you are required to wire funds, please contact your title closer directly. We want to make sure you get wiring instructions right from the horse's mouth, right from the source. So we will not email you wiring instructions, even in encrypted form. So again, if you see something that looks like it's from us, it's not, it's fraudulent, and we want to avoid that. Now, if you are receiving proceeds at closing or wish to have proceeds from the sale wired to your bank account, please make sure to either bring a check that's been voided or your account information. Otherwise, you will need to receive a check from the title company for any additional funds or proceeds that are left over. And here's the last one. If you requested a power of attorney for the closing, make sure that you bring the original document. Now, you may be requested to bring a few other things. Sometimes marriage certificates are a required document. There's personal representatives documents that you might need to do if you're representing somebody who's deceased. We'll talk about that in the specific situations.